After that, we had spent so much time shopping for clothes on our first pretend date that by the time we finally went for crepes, the sun was starting to set. All in all, we'd wrapped up a good, wholesome date.
先輩、本当にすみません。ありがとうございます。
I'd say everything worked out perfectly. Having seen her crying after getting her clothes wet earlier, I was the one who wanted to apologize. That said, her hair dried pretty quickly since it was summer, and she wouldn't have a problem wearing her uniform tomorrow since the water was clean. All's well that ends well.
まだ慣れないな。
Mio was still concerned about her outfit.
なんかいつもより周りから見られてた気がする。気のせいじゃないわよ。注目されてたもん。特に男の子から。
You must have eyes like a hawk.
先輩も明らかに兄弟じゃない女の子2人を連れて、なんだこいつって感じで見られてたよ。
Really?
まあ、私は他人から見つめられることになれないといけないからちょうどよかったけど。
I doubt she needed to be so smug about it, but I learned something new all the same. Girls really do pay heed to which guys are checking them out.
お父さんもびっくりするだろうな。
Mio must have gotten over her embarrassment because now she seemed really happy. Alright, shall we head home? We were already halfway home by that time. Our houses were in separate directions though, so I had to check with them.
私はスーパーに寄ってから帰ります。じゃあ、私もここからまた駅の方に戻るわ。家がそっちなの。
Why'd you follow us all the way here then?
いや、だって、みーちゃんと先輩を夕方に二人きりになんてできないもん。
Who exactly are you worried about here?
どっちって。
Misaki nearly yelled at me, but stopped. And then she went completely red in the face. This time she really did yell at me, and then she ran off the way we came. I'm surprised she hasn't been declared a public nuisance yet. Mio just laughed it off, since this was how Misaki always acted. Well, I'd better get going too.
先輩。
I stopped. Evidently, she still had something to say.
もうちょっとだけ一緒にいてもらっていいですか?
Oh? Sure, I guess. Now what is it? Mio suddenly smiled as the sun dipped below the horizon. It was like she was waiting for a kiss, though that was just wishful thinking on my part. Is there something you don't want to talk about while Misaki is around?
冴えてますね。
Well, considering the timing, I just had a hunch.
先輩は私の恋人役ですよね。
Mio looked at me with a mischievous grin. It was so different from how she normally was. Or maybe this is what Mio is really like. Yeah, I'm just acting. Kind of a shame though.
残念なんですか?
I always wondered what it would be like to have a cute girlfriend.
じゃあ私ですみません。
That's not what he means. You should get a new mirror because your old one is clearly broken.
もともと貧乏で鏡がないんです。
Seriously?
冗談ですよ。鏡を変えた方がいいってセリフ、よく映画とかドラマでありますね。
I can't fool you for a second. It's hard to look cool in front of a genius.
お世辞でも可愛いって言ってくれてありがとうございます。
I assure you, it wasn't flatter. Something warm suddenly touched my hand. Mio giggled bashfully. She was holding my hand. It was a very familiar feeling. Her hand felt a lot smaller and warmer than Michiru's hands ever felt, though. The summer heat was really annoying, but the warmth of Mio's hand didn't bother me at all. No, I shouldn't think too far ahead here.
いつか好きな人ができて、デートをするなら手をつないでみたかったんです。
Her hand was shaking. Even if she wanted to hold hands, she was definitely nervous about doing it for the first time. So I squeezed her hand back firmly. Miu let out a surprised sound.
男の人ってやっぱり力が強いですね。
Sorry, did I hurt you?
いえ、びっくりしただけです。ギュッてしてもらうと、子供の頃にお父さんと歩いていた時を思い出して、なんか安心もしますね。
I'm the surprised one here. I didn't expect you to do this. I held up our intertwined hands for a moment for emphasis.
だって、恋人らしくしないとって先輩が言ったんじゃないですか。それに、みちるちゃんからいつもお兄さんとこうやって登校してるって聞いてましたし。
So you wanted to try it too? An important question came to mind. I hesitated about asking it out loud, but eventually I decided I should just come out and say it. Don't you think you should wait until you go on a date with Shuji before you hold hands with anyone?
そうですね。でも、レイ先輩のことも好きですから大丈夫です。ちゃんと思い出になります。
Even Miu seemed a little surprised she would say that, but her smile still held steady.
先輩は私と手をつないでみてどうですか？
I don't know.
そうですか。ドキドキしてるのは私だけか。
Miu said those words with a crestfallen expression. Then she reluctantly let go of my hand.
それじゃあ先輩、今日もありがとうございました。
Yeah, you should get home.
夢を一つ叶えましたし、お夕飯を作らないといけませんからね。
I hope your most important dream comes true as well.
はい。
Miu quietly nodded and left. I stood and watched her until she disappeared. The twilight hours of summer. The voices of the cicadas. The air remained hot and muggy even after the sun set, but for some reason my hand felt a little cold, seemingly yearning for Miu's warmth. I realized I still had time to use the pocket watch and return to when Miu was here with me. But even if I did, then what? I took out the watch and stared at the second hand, mulling it over. I was cutting it really close. After a moment's hesitation, I finally threw it against the ground.
先輩は私と手をつないでみてどうですか？
5 minutes ago, she asked me that question before she left. I don't know exactly how I should put it. Just one little addendum like that can change everything.
考えないように？
I know we are only doing this to help you overcome your social anxiety around boys. I'm just trying not to read too much into it. I really was trying my damnedest. It's not like I was able to completely avoid thinking about it though.
それは
Miu, Shuji already has a girl that he likes. Miu fell completely silent. Her facial expression didn't change, but all the tension went out of her hand, so I could tell that the news was a huge shock to her. Her hand started trembling even more. I felt weighed down by sadness. Having to tell Miu the news that I knew would be painful for her to hear turned out to be sadder for me than I expected. I'm sorry. He told me that when I talked to him after school.
どうして先輩が謝るんですか？
If I told you earlier, then we wouldn't have gone on a date. We never would have held hands either.
いいえ、
Miu gently smiled and shook her head.
さっきまでは美咲ちゃんがいたから言えなかったでしょうし、今も私が傷つかないようにしてくれてるじゃないですか。先輩は悪くありません。ありがとうございます。
She was grateful to me. Miu let go of my hand and bowed her head to me.
先輩、今日はありがとうございました。明日もまたよろしくお願いします。
Tomorrow?
明日と明後日は休みですね。月曜日からで。
That's not what I meant. I didn't know what to say next. Luckily, she seemed to pick up quickly on what I was trying to tell her.
石田先輩に好きな人がいても、私のすることに変わりはありませんよ。壁に当たって砕けてみせます。
After making that bizarre announcement, she bowed politely to me again, then left. I was dumbstruck. So she's not going to give up on confessing?
あの女子とお主では見ているものが違うからな。
A voice answered me. Oh, long time no see. Crow's skirt billowed in the wind as she descended from the sky.
稀にだが、あの手の人間がいる。お主や多くの人間は過去を見ているから、何かの失敗を取り繕うために我輩の力を使おうと考える。しかし、あの女子のように未来を見ている人間にとっては、失敗はあくまでも成功までの道行きでしかない。
So failure is an inevitability then? I think Miu said something like that before too.
人にとってどちらが賢いなどということは我輩にはわからんがな。
I'm beat. I really was beat. Miu was too good for this earth. She was a very smart, brave and optimistic kind of girl. Unfortunately, she was also naive enough to believe that all her dreams would come true if she just worked hard enough. You could say that her biggest strength was also her greatest weakness. Miu, most people aren't as strong-willed as you. I muttered as if she were still here. Miu understood something that ordinary people could not. I still didn't completely understand it either. She said that she liked Shuji, but she also said that she liked me. And she didn't seem to understand just how deep of an effect those words had.
お主の友人がみちるを好きだったのは行幸だな。
I looked up at Crow's mischievous face. Fortunate? You mean it's a good thing?
そうであろう？このままあのミュウという女子の告白が失敗すれば、堂々とお主と付き合えるではないか。もとよりお主は繁殖目的で女子探しをしていたのだし、だからこそあの女子のそばにいようとしていたわけだろう。何を悩むことがある？
Hey Crow, you wouldn't happen to be the devil on my shoulder, would you? Even if Crow had no concern for other humans, there was no need for her to bludgeon me over the head with her point like that. But I still understood. And it was because I understood that I couldn't really get angry at her. If Miu was going to end up being rejected, that would put the ball in my court. Of course, it was never my intent to play the situation like that from the beginning, but it wasn't like I hadn't considered the possibility at all either. I helped Miu for the same basic reason that Shuji did. Just as Shuji lent her his umbrella because she was a cute girl, I probably wouldn't have helped her out either if she weren't a cute girl. And now I was finally becoming aware of my ulterior motive for helping her. Miu already liked me more than she liked Shuji. Probably. I don't think I'm that conceited. Besides, even if she hasn't fully realized it herself yet, Miu was a smart enough girl that I was certain she'd put two and two together soon enough. If she's still going to confess, she should do it sooner rather than later.
まだ他人の恋愛を成就させてやろうなどと考えているわけか。
Humans are supposed to have some sense of pride and morality, you know.
そうではなかろう。お主に足りないのは、お主自身があの女子でいいと決める覚悟だ。言い換えれば重さだな。
What would you know about bushes? You spent your whole day floating through the sky.
しぶとい軽さだの。
Crow was growing visibly frustrated as she continued to hover in the air.
まあお主もあの女子も修二とやらもみちるも自分たちに嘘がつけない人間であることはわかるがな。
Lying to ourselves?
さよう。伊達に我が輩は人間観察をしておらんよ。対面や倫理などお主たちにとって本当はさまつなことなのだろう。こだわっているものは信念だ。 人というのは法は曲げられても自分の信念は曲げられぬ。途中で曲がるやつは最初からその程度のものでしかないが、時折どうしても曲げられぬものがいる。たまたま今回はそんな人間が揃ってしまっているだけだな。そして経験上信念のある人間は我が輩の力を使わん。
So what? You're saying that I'm a coward because I use the watch's power all the time?
お主の本質がどちらかはまだ判断がついておらん。ただ周りの状況がどうであれ、結局は何かを決めるのはお主のさじ加減一つであろうと言ってるだけだ。
Crow probably didn't have any specific reason to be telling me all this. She wasn't trying to cheer me up, trick me, or insult me. Well, maybe she did insult me a bit. Alright, I understand. She didn't really have to tell me because I already understood. I'm not as stupid as the protagonists in games and TV shows always seem to be. I can at least understand that much. Ah. I looked up at the sky, filled with the dying light of sunset, and sighed. I guess I was still a little confused. Good grief.
Yeah.
The next day. It was Saturday, so we were out of school, and Shuji stopped by my house like he said he would. I came out in my pajamas and sandals to greet him at the front door. You know, you didn't have to use the intercom, you could have just waltzed in here, no problem.
そういうわけにはいかねえだろうが。
We both headed to the annex without so much as a normal greeting. Shuji was carrying a plastic bag, so I figured he must have brought a drink and snacks with him.
さんずいの家に来るのは久しぶりだ。
After walking through the courtyard and into the annex building, Shuji took in the side of my room. Last time you were here, we had all our other friends come over to play games, right?
だな。
Sometimes I have friends come over here to hang out, since my parents never stop by to bother me and the place is pointlessly huge for one person. Plus, most people generally stay away from this place because of its connection with the Sabatari name. With nothing more to be said, I took 2 cups out of the cupboard and put them down on the table. Shuji suddenly followed suit, pouring the cola he'd brought with him into his own cup.
さんずいは部屋だけは片付いてるな。
I'm just very meticulous about being a neat freak.
床を散らかしてると妹さんが踏んで危ないからだろ。
True.
金持ちのくせにクーラーがないのが意外なんだよな。
We should put the chatter aside. I can tell you're nervous since you came to see me about Michiru, right? Shuji took a swig of his poured cola.
さんずいとは教室で毎日会ってるし、無駄話はいらないか。
Shuji breathed out a deep sigh. He really did seem quite nervous.
ミュってこの気持ちをないがしろにするつもりは俺にもねえよ。ただ、その前に確認しなきゃいけない。
So you came here today to make sure that Michiru is really the girl you're interested in, right?
ああ。だから後で呼んでくれ。
I just nodded. Shuji got straight to the point, as always. So, how long have you liked Michiru?
去年、1年の時かな。ここで庭にいる彼女を見かけて、すっげえ可愛い子だって思ったのが最初だ。
So you fell in love at first sight too?
最初から真剣に惚れてるとかじゃなかったけど、それからも3人で話してたり、学校で見かけた時に挨拶くらいはしてたしな。
So you don't need a reason to fall in love either.
一応分かってると思うが、みちるを好きってやつはかなり多いぞ。
Oh, I definitely know. There are other cute girls at our school, like Makoto and Miu, but Michiru is in a completely different league. She's much more of a princess than a schoolgirl. Despite that, she definitely catches the eyes of other boys because of her long black hair and calm, mature personality. Plus, despite her visual handicap, her wealth as a Sabatari would make any hypothetical partner of hers set for life. But there's one other thing. I feel like I shouldn't be the one to tell you this, but Michiru kind of has the hots for me, even though we are siblings.
彼女がさんずいに惚れてるのは分かってるよ。ふざけた話だ。
Shuji sounded a little disappointed. Well, I guess I should call her. I could have just gone to the main house to see her, but I was in no mood to walk all the way over there, so I decided to phone her instead.
はい、みちるです。
Michiru, it's me. Are you home right now?
はい。
Could you come to my room?
すぐ行きます。
By the way, Shuji is... Hey! The line had already gone dead. She hung up on me. I put my phone away and Shuji smiled knowingly.
変わってないな。
I couldn't change her if I wanted to. We heard approaching footsteps from the connecting hallway, and soon the door opened.
兄様のメス奴隷がやってまいりまし。
That was precisely the moment when Michiru's ears picked up on the fact that there was someone else beside me in the room.
だが、どなたかに見られながらのプレーがご所望とは予想しておりませんでした。
Christ! That was awkward enough without you tacking on that last part.
邪魔してるよ。
石田先輩でしたか。お久しぶりです。え、石田先輩
What's Miu doing here? Miu suddenly showed up, stepping into the room behind Michiru. Gah! Both me and the other man in the room were completely befuddled. Miu, what are you doing here?
最近、兄様とミュウさんがよく会っているそうなので、どんな様子なのかお話ししていたんです。
Michiru must have dragged Miu back to the house to interrogate her. It wasn't a problem for her to be here too, but I hadn't been ready for her to show up out of nowhere. I took my pocket watch and smashed it against the tabletop.
彼女がさんずいに惚れてるのは分かってるよ。
My conversation with Shuji picked up from where it had left off. Shuji, Miu's in the house. I think Michiru called her over without telling me.
はあ？なんでそんなこと分かるんだよ。
Let's just say it's radio waves. Just figured I should tell you so you'll be prepared. Brushing aside his confusion, I pulled out my phone to call Michiru again.
はい、みちるです。
Shuji is here right now in my room. I know Miu's with you as well, so you guys should come hang out with us.
すぐ行きます。
Although the request I made of Michiru was somewhat different from last time, her response was not. And once again, it did not take long for us to hear approaching footsteps from the hallway.
兄様のメス奴隷がやってまいりました。
Oh, I forgot to stop her from saying that. Guess it doesn't matter this time though.
邪魔してるよ。
石田先輩でしたか。お久しぶりです。
Everything up to now was the same as before, but...
石田先輩、こんにちは。
Since Miu knew Shuji was going to be here this time, she was already incredibly nervous as she came in. Miu did something so bold yesterday that I thought she would be over her embarrassment, but she still looked as bashful as ever.
よ。
Miu's eyes darted back and forth as she tried to think of a topic of conversation. Then she looked at her hand.
結構大丈夫。
Her hand was still shaking, but it seemed she wasn't in a full-on panic anymore. Miu looked at me next. Then she smiled. It was a smile directed solely at me.
賑やかな雰囲気ですね。4人分のお茶やお菓子を運んでいただきましょうか。
We have snacks and soda here.
その前に用事が済んだから俺は帰る。
Already? Already? Miu and I were both shocked at his declaration, albeit for different reasons. Michiru, on the other hand, just stood by the sidelines, smiling gently.
それじゃあ、3人ともまた今度な。
Acting as if it weren't a big deal at all, Shuji left the room. Hey, at least let me see you to the door. I opted to follow Shuji instead of staying with the girls. Shuji stopped outside the front door and looked up at the sky. Hey, Shuji.
うるさい。ちょっと黙ってろ。
Shuji seemed really agitated, but that wasn't the concern here. His ears and cheeks were slightly flushed and sweaty, but I could tell it was not because of the summer heat.
はあ、やっぱり好きなもんは好きだな。
He answered my question before I could ask it, and I sighed deeply in response. Shuji wasn't going to give up on Michiru. And that meant, were Miu to confess to him again, he would unquestionably turn her down. So now what?
どうするってなんだ。
It doesn't matter if you reject Miu, because Michiru won't accept you either. You saw how she acted.
そうだろうな。
So I'll ask again. Now what?
別にどうもしない。適当なところでミュウに断りを入れて、あとはいつもの生活に戻るだけだ。
Shuji looked at me suspiciously.
というか、どうするのかはさんずい。お前の方だろ。
Me?
あの子、明らかにお前に気があるぞ。むっつりのお前が気づいてないわけないよな。
Yeah.
それにも文句はね。さんずいもあの子もよくやってる。今日のまともに喋れた様子を見て、偉いと思ったよ。
Shuji didn't try to hide his intentions or true feelings at all. He really did want nothing but the best for Miu and I.
とにかく、俺が妹さんに気があることをミュウに知られるのは残酷だ。俺は帰るよ。
Shuji waved goodbye before turning to leave. What do I do now? I stood in the doorway, dumbstruck, for about 10 seconds before finally going back into the house.
レイ先輩、石田先輩はどうしたんですか？
It's nothing. He was just stopping by. He had to go home once he was done. Miu looked a bit frazzled, which made me think that something happened while I was gone. Did Michiru try to grope her or something?
私、何か怒らせるようなことしちゃったんでしょうか？
Oh, no, that's not it. He really did just have to go home. I tried to act like everything was normal.
石田先輩、少し息が上がってましたし、調子が悪かったのかもしれませんね。
Michiru came up with a convenient explanation for Shuji's odd behavior, even though she was the one that caused it. It was clear as day that Michiru didn't see any man other than me as a potential romantic partner.
そうですか。せっかく初めてきちんとお話できると思ったのに。
ああ、上がり症の克服がどうしてミュウさんに必要なのかを探ろうと思いましたが、お目当ては石田先輩だったんですね。この家の敷地の中ではいくら叫んでも外には聞こえませんよ。
Hey, don't pull any shenanigans with her! I stifled Michiru's threat right away. I think you said a little too much, Miu.
相談できるお友達が増えたと思うことにします。
Now then. I wasn't trying to lead the conversation in this direction, but the way things were going, we are going to end up talking about Miu's love life. I really don't want to say anything careless in front of Michiru, though. Well, anyway, now that we are all here, we should play a game.
お医者さん。
Do not finish that sentence.
じゃあ、おままごと？
Do you really want to?
いえ、なんかこう、流れ的に。
Miu had a remarkable knack for making an awkward situation even worse.
一人減ってしまいましたが、麻雀でもしましょうか。
You're crazy good at mahjong for someone who's blind. Normally I would suggest we play cards, but that was out of the question due to Michiru's blindness. She's much more adept at tabletop games like mahjong, chess or shogi, since she can understand the mechanics of the game through her sense of touch. Wait, Miu, do you even know how to play mahjong?
一応みちるちゃんと遊ぶのに覚えました。
So you showed her how to play, Michiru? Thanks a lot.
いえ、本当にルールを覚えただけなので。
みゆさんは私と同じか、それ以上に強いですよ。
Two Michiru level players? If I were to take them both on in mahjong by myself, I'd undoubtedly be a full-course sitting duck meal with trifle for dessert. How can two girls be so good at mahjong anyway?
皆さんの呼吸や体温、話し方の変化などで自然と危険範囲がわかります。
確率の計算で。
A predatory beast and an egghead. Great.
あと積み込みも得意です。
Wow, wait a second. I could swear you just admitted to cheating.
あれってルール違反なんですか？
兄様、私とみゆさんとみさきさんで麻雀をするときは、イカ様は気づかれなければ技としてありありなんです。
Michiru, what the hell are you teaching her?
みさきちゃん、かわいそう。
I can't play with you guys. You're freaking me out here.
じゃあ、どうします？
Miu, you're answering that.